started. I'll let Amy Davis, kind of the PM for the software integration project. And we're excited that we're kind of so close to go live and get to the point where we kind of give you a quick demo. As far as the project itself, a quick status update on where we're at is we recently moved the software application from the CityView servers over to ours. And we're now kind of working on getting all the integrations to our document management and payment center and so on set up. And then for the next 2 weeks after that, from the 12th through the 23rd, we'll have a lot of hands-on training with CityView to really kind of be brought up to speed on our new job roles, since we're going from a very kind of manual paper-based system to a much more efficient electronic workflows. So we'll become experts on that, and then go live is April 26th. So it's exciting time in the project, but definitely going to be a busy month. So I guess I'll turn it on over to the presenters.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon again. Thanks for joining us, first of all. And this meeting will provide a preview of our new online development permitting system for the city of Oak Ridge. My name is Nathalie Schmidt. I'm one of the planners in the Community Development Department. And with me is Jennifer Williams, Senior Planner, Arnold Blackwell, Code Enforcement Supervisor, Amy Davis, who you just heard from, and Eric Alt, our Assistant to the City Manager, who's also helping with this project. What we will show you today, again, is a preview of the CityView portal, which should give you a pretty good sense of what's coming when we transition to digital application submittals and reviews. CityView is expected to go live April 26th, or shall we say just the end of April or beginning of May, depending on how everything fits together around that time. We also want to make you aware that we are recording this meeting, and we may use parts of it in an informational video that can be shared with others. But you are our first audience, so today we invited city administrators, select members from city council, and a few of our busiest residential builders. And we hope that you will ask questions as we go through our website, both for your benefit and ours in future info sessions and guides. So the new system is called CityView. We have also referred to it as CityView Portal. It's a software license that was selected by the city to manage permitting and inspections, code enforcement, and planning and zoning processes. The basic objectives are to allow better access to data and reporting, so no more paper files, to keep pace with the growing demands in development, to streamline our activities and the task management for city users, and to increase the level of service given to our customers. Several city departments coordinated to build, learn, and to use the software, including information systems, finance, community development, public works, fire, electric, and the utility business office. Our front counter at the community development department will still be open for business, or open during business hours for in-person service. There will be a workstation installed next to the counter so that customers can access the CityView portal when they come, or be instructed on how to use it. Our office phone numbers and contact information for staff will remain the same, and CityView will provide more obvious ways to communicate throughout the review and inspection process. So that's just the basic information. And next, Jennifer is going to show us the portal and take us through some steps.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing the screen here. You all should be able to see now. What we're looking at right now is the CityView portal. This is what applicants will see, citizens, developers, whoever. It will be located within our existing city website. And this is the main homepage here. I'm going to go through some of the basics on the homepage very quickly, and then give an example of submitting a building permit. So some of the things you can do through the CityView portal homepage from the code enforcement side. Citizens will be able to submit complaints, code enforcement complaints. That can be done either anonymously or through an account. From the planning side, you'll be able to apply for a planning permit. That includes site plans and plats, but it also includes things like rezoning requests or Board of Zoning Appeals requests. We'll also have a sort of mapping function that will allow people to get basic information on property, excitingly also zoning, which is a big deal. But then probably the biggest section is the building stuff, applying for building permits. And the website also gives you the opportunity to estimate fees on the front end, so you can put in some basic information about what you're applying for and get an idea of how much your permits will cost. You'll also be able to schedule inspections and look up other types of information about a project. And I'll add really quickly that the CityView portal will require, for most things aside from submitting anonymous codes complaints, it does require an account. It's just a basic email and password type account. And the benefit is that a company or an individual will be able to use this account to keep track of all the information related to their permit or multiple permits for a larger company. So really quickly, I'm going to select apply for a building permit and go through that process. Now I'll say this, we're already logged into Arnold's account. So this is assuming that this person has already created an account and is moving forward with applying for a building permit through that account. Well, it's being a little slow, of course, because we're demonstrating it for the first time, so it has to be. Don't have anything to add about the information on it.
I see it spinning, so it's a good sign.
Yeah.
I notice it has been a little bit slow.
Well, yeah.
I'm going to try to stop and refresh us here. There we go. Okay, it's asking me to log in again, Arnold. I'll probably stay there for too long. So this is good. This is assuming that oops, this is the login page. So Arnold is just logging into his account that he already has set up. Okay, so now I'm going to go through and apply for a building permit. Okay, so this same page will be used for trade permits like your mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. It'll be used for grading and land disturbance permits. But then it'll also be used for all your different types of building permits. In this case, I'm going to select a new single family dwelling. And then it'll ask you to provide different types of information. Like a lot of other things, only the information that shows an asterisk next to it is required to move forward. So it'll ask you for things like building use. In this case, residential 1 and 2 family is populated, which is great. You can put a number of stories, number of units, square footage. Let's say we have a 2,100 square foot house here. Also importantly, it'll ask you if a contractor or a builder, excuse me, a contractor or a homeowner is doing the work. I'll say in this case, no. And then like our building permits now, it will ask for a value of work. So I'll say $225,000. So for most of our building permits, you'll also have the opportunity to apply for your grading permit or land disturbance permit simultaneously. So I'm going to select that here because it's a new house. So typically we would require both the building and land disturbance permit. Then you'll go to work items. For a new single family dwelling, it's automatically populated to just one work item, the new single family dwelling, but some types of development like a commercial building might have multiple work items associated with them. For the land disturbance permit, there's 2 options, either new residential or other residential. It's set up like that because that is how our fees are structured. There's a fee for a new single family residential and there's no fee for other residential. And based on the work items you choose, you'll be asked for some information about that work item, how many square feet in the case of the new single family dwelling. And we're just doing one house here. So location is next. This is a good feature. There are a couple of different options for selecting a permit location. You will be able to either type in an address, and that address comes from If it's an existing address in the city, it should automatically populate because we have these saved from our, it comes from our GIS system, correct? But you can also, let's say you have a brand new lot that has not received an address yet, or it hasn't been made the jump from being platted to actually being uploaded into our system. You can also add your own address. Here we go. So, like I mentioned before, let's say we are building this house out at the new Harbor Point subdivision on Edgemore. So I started typing in the address. It automatically pulls up the addresses that we have on file, which is great. But if for some reason the address wasn't pulling up, it wouldn't work in some way, you can also click this can't find address button and provide other information as well. Okay, then our next step is contacts for the application. So in this case, the applicant, because we're signed into Arnold's account, shows up as Arnold Blackwell. The property owner will always be associated with any permit application, but their name and information doesn't immediately show up on the screen just for privacy reasons. You also have the opportunity in contacts to add someone else. So if you wanted to add a contractor or architect to your permit, you would be able to do that. However, that's only possible if that entity has an account with the city, because the purpose of adding them in this case is so they can use their CityView account to see things about this application. So our last step here, well, second to last step, is uploading files. So for each type of permit, when you get to the screen, there will be a list of the items that are typically required to be submitted with the permit. Because we've selected new family, single family dwelling, and because we've selected that a contractor is doing the work, these are the items that have populated. However, you do not have to submit something for each of these items to move forward. For example, if you were doing a project that only required interior work and therefore didn't need a building site plan, you would not have to submit anything to keep going. But you also have the opportunity here to upload additional documents if there's something else you need to provide that isn't included in this list. So just for example's sake, I'm going to add a set of construction drawings that I have right here. So I've only put in one drawing, but it will allow me to go forward if I hit next step, review and submit. This is telling me that my documents have been uploaded, and that also gives me a reminder, because I didn't include something for each item, that you do have the ability to go back and upload other documents later. So this very last screen is just a review and submittal screen. This is just showing me everything I've already put in about the permit, going back over all the details. So this is the time to check and make sure, yes, that's the value of work I wanted. Yes, that's the square footage. This item here is an electronic signature. So I'm clicking yes. Then I have to prove I'm not a robot. And then if I hit submit, that's it. My application is submitted. So then I get this page saying that the application has been submitted. I get the application number, and it reviews the information for me again. So what this will do when the system is live is send this information into the city staff portion of CityView, which we call Workspace. From that point forward, the activities that happen related to the permit are going to be essentially the same. The staff will review the permit. Eventually the permit will be issued. Inspections will be scheduled, and eventually a certificate of occupancy will be issued. But those activities will just be done through the CityView system. And so what Arnold is going to do next is demonstrate what a permit looks like that we've already set up, and he's gone through the whole process to show you all what kind of information you'll be able to see about your permit through your CityView account.
So this is the application that Jennifer just created, and I created an application yesterday and issued a permit, took it through the review process, the inspection process, and issued a certificate of occupancy. In order to get to that information, so as a contractor, you can see all your information, you would have to log into your account, and then you're going to go to My Items. And in this case, we'll go to Permits, My Permits and Applications. And I would have to go now to an inactive item because I've already closed it by issuing a certificate of occupancy, but you would be looking mostly at one that's current. And this was the one I created yesterday. Okay, this was the application I created yesterday. It was for a single family dwelling out at the preserve. Its status is currently closed. Its work category was new, residential 1 and 2 family dwelling. Application date was on the 30th. It was issued on the 30th. Expiration date of this permit would be 180 days after no activity on the permit. And the date it was filed was yesterday because I took it through the whole process. You've got the location, parcel number of the property, and the address. Property owner information, again, is not shown for privacy reasons. The applicant's information is shown. Building permit is in a final status, as well as the land disturbance permit. Then here it shows the submittal item was accepted. And then we have a public works review, which would typically be completed by public works staff, but in this case, in Workspace, I did the approval. And the same with the planning review, electric department review, and the building code review. Now, there would be some cases where we would have outcomes of where we need more information, so the review process would go back and forth, and there would be more items here to look at. Here is the fees. It shows the fees that have been paid. Currently, the fees have not been paid. And this was the land disturbance fee, the building permit fee total based on the valuation of work. And in Portal, you have the opportunity to pay your fees, and that's done through PayMantis. And then after you make your payment, you'll get an email that'll is your receipt. And then that will, once your permit fees have been paid, your permit will be issued, and then the inspection process would start, which inspections can be requested on Portal, or they can be phoned in and they can be scheduled by administrative staff. And here you see a footing inspection that went in and had a passed outcome. The foundation inspection passed, framing passed, insulation passed, grading and erosion, and the building final passed. And this will all happen real time while the inspector's in the field. They'll enter their results, and you would have your results as soon as the inspection had passed. And another good feature too, while the inspector's in the field, they can take inspections if a contractor comes up to them, if they're out at the preserve or over in Harbor Point, one of the superintendents say, hey, can you come inspect this house? I'm trying to get a final so we can get a CO. The inspector can schedule that inspection on their device. They can enter the results, and they even have the ability at that time to check the history of all the inspections and possibly issue a CO right in the field. We also, when we're in Workspace, we also have the ability to make the project a master project, and that would be done by address. So any additional permits, trade permits that are applied for will be linked to that master project. That way, when we're having to look up information to do the certificate of occupancy, it's all right there. And it should make our process a lot more flawless. But the last thing here, we have documents and images. We have a permit that was issued, certificate of occupancy. Any other documents that are submitted for the project would show up here, as well as approved plans. Once we receive plans in portal that you submit, we review them, stamp them as approved, and then they'll show back up here in your documents and images, and then you can print your plans, have them on the job site for review while we're doing inspections. And that's pretty much the end of it from this standpoint of what you can view. Here is just a sample copy of a single family dwelling permit. It's got all the information. Contractor information is not here on this current one, but basically the date it was issued, the value of work, permit number, all that information's there. And then this is what our certificate of occupancy looks like. Has all the pertinent information to the project and the signature, and that pretty much will complete the project and allow you to occupy the building. And that's pretty much all I have for this portion of our demonstration. If anyone has any questions, we'd be glad to answer them.
Yeah.
I do have a couple questions that I jotted down as you went through the presentation. I guess the first one was on the address. Can you walk through how you submit that by finding it on the map? I noticed one of the options was you could find the location on the map. How does that work? You just put a flag on the map, or how does that work?
You can find the address on the property search. That's what you saw.
Do you want to take that?
Are you asking when a permit is in the process of being submitted and you're trying to
Submitted,
find?
yes. When you
Okay,
try to find the address, a lot of times if you've got a new parcel that's really not been submitted, maybe even approved, you may not have the map and parcel number even,
mhm.
the address.
Let's see. I'm gonna create a new little test permit here for us.
Right.
Get to the location step. Yeah. The mouse is being very finicky. Okay, we'll say we're doing accessory building. Oof, the mouse is not liking me right now. I don't know if it needs a new battery. There we go. All right. Okay, so looking at location,
Yeah, find on a map.
yeah. Yeah, I will say that our mapping,
Because we did it this afternoon.
okay. So our mapping function is one of the last sort of things getting completed here, but this is the map of the city that pops up. So let's say. Trying to select in this area. So you see I selected that parcel and it gave me the address
Okay.
for the parcel I selected.
You just get it close on the parcel number and or the parcel as it's shown on the map, and it just self-fills it in.
And if it's a really something new to where mapping doesn't show it yet,
Right.
Or it's something strange, like for example, if you're putting a small cell antenna in a street right of way, you have the opportunity to sort of freeform and say, you know, turnpike right of way near Rutgers or something. You have the opportunity to really be, preferably you want to have the address or parcel number, but if it's a unique situation, you do have the ability to be descriptive as needed.
Okay. And on the next frame, I think you had the opportunity to submit your architectural information, but you said that if they didn't have an account, you couldn't submit their information. I don't quite understand that, because a lot of times I would think you would want to know who the architect is, even if they were not registered or never done work in the city of Oak Ridge.
From this, at this point in the process, we are, so you can select who they are, so if you're saying an architect. And right now, the people that we have are just people who are already in our system. So if I just start typing, it will bring up different users, whatever. Right, so you can have
Maybe an architect that you don't have listed there. Maybe I'm using an out-of-state architect or somebody else.
Right. So how will we get that information?
I believe they would have to. You mean if the architect is submitting, Rick, or you as the contractor?
Either way, I mean, I know when I submit a new building permit, you always have to put your architect on there if there is one, and their address and their contact information. And I use a local contractor or architect, but sometimes someone may not.
And part of that may come into play here. So if you're submitting, if you have a contractor, for example, you might submit a copy of their license that will provide with the information about who the contractor is.
And I would say that an architect, if they were going to submit directly themselves, they would have to create an account and provide information, their email address and all their, just like everybody else would create an account and do the submittal that way. Otherwise, if you were submitting application, you would end up being the contact person at that point.
And so
So
maybe-
would they have to come into the office to set up an account? Is that how they would do that?
No, they just set up an account on portal. And they can submit the application that way.
Yeah, they could submit an account from home, I mean, from anywhere, from any computer. But if we needed information about who the architect was, that could theoretically be uploaded with additional documentation
Yes.
for.
Yeah.
But it might also be included on the construction drawings or on a copy of a license.
All right. And the
And
construction.
most drawings have that pertinent information also.
Right. Are those drawings that you submit only in PDF, or do you accept AutoCAD or different versions of AutoCAD, or
So
what do
up
you
at the
prefer?
top here, it shows you what the document extensions are. It does look like we have CAD and PDF. There is a maximum file size of 80 megabytes. That's going to handle most of what we get, but if there is something larger than that, we might have to look at some other option for getting the drawings to us.
Well, another option, or if they're able to break it down into like part one,
So
part
break,
two.
or break it up
And they
into
submit in
multiple.
Dropbox also that way. And they submit it in Dropbox.
And then you guys would add it in Workspace to the application, that would be possible.
So you can use Dropbox.
We would still accept it.
I believe so, yeah. Then we could download it. We probably have to download. That's what we do now. I do now anyways, is I'll download the drawings from Dropbox. I just can't send out the big files, that's all.
Yeah, and then city staff would just upload it ourselves. So,
I know you mentioned a lot of things about privacy. Are these permits searchable? I mean, if I wanted to find out about a permit that was submitted on my neighbor's property, can I look that up?
I think that would be an open records request
Okay,
with the city clerk, that just like we currently do.
okay.
yeah, I think it's set right now to everybody that's assigned as a contact for the permit can see.
Okay, so only people associated with the construction and the permit would be
Right.
able to access the permit. That makes sense.
And even the property owner's address and information is hidden from the applicant, just so you can't go in and look it up in that way.
Gotcha. Makes sense. As far as inspections, do you request inspections on this format or only, or can you still call in to the office and get an inspection?
You can still call in or you can schedule through portal.
If you've got an old school builder that doesn't like to
Yeah.
work this,
Yeah, but
I
now
think
we're anticipating that with some of our trade contractors, even with issuing permits, that we're gonna have to help them at the counter, and we're gonna have a monitor on both sides of the counter so Tessa can assist them if they're working in portal, and if they decide they don't want to work in portal, we're gonna try to encourage it, but if they don't want to do it, absolutely don't want to do it, she can do the application and submit the permit.
Okay.
Issue the permit for them.
right? And as far as the inspections for the fire and public works, it all goes through this application. You don't have to call separately to the fire department to get your fire inspection, or public works to get an inspection for grading or anything like that.
I'm not sure if the fire department inspection is through this.
And the results will be here for the fire department. They'll be notified that they have an inspection for a permit. They're gonna do it in their own system and then copy the results here. So within CityView, it'll look like it was all done within CityView. It's kind of a duplicated process on their part. But for the citizen, it'll all look pretty seamless and all in one spot.
So if I need to get a fire
Actually,
inspection,
the land disturbance permit will be scheduled through portal, so that can be scheduled as well. Any inspections that are associated to the application should be able to be scheduled through portal. So if it's a commercial project that requires a fire inspection, that should be able to be scheduled through portal.
okay.
And same with the grading and erosion control.
Yeah, same with grading, erosion, anything that's tied to that application has the option to be scheduled.
Okay. And let's say I just submitted an application. Is there any way for me to check on this portal to see how the review is going, timeframes, those types of things? So I know a lot of people are concerned about, the speed of getting an application reviewed.
It shows a status, whether it's pending in review or where it's at. I don't know that it gets finite into what's being done or what's been looked at and what stage it's at with the back and forth with the developer or the architect. I don't think those kind of details will show up, but you'll see whether the status it's pending, still in review, or if an inspection's failed, it's failed, that type of thing.
But all that will be in that My Items page that Arnold showed, sort of, and that page will update as things happen.
And also inspection results, like if we came out to one of your projects, if you're a user, the results will be emailed to you. Like say your inspection failed, a framing inspection, you'd be emailed those results, and we'll probably leave a tag on site also, and with a description of what the deficiencies were. So that information you'll get that way also.
Okay.
Can we go into My Items to pull it up and show them where it will say that
Where it will say what?
the status?
Yes, I will look at, let's see. So I just clicked on My Items again, the same thing that Arnold went to. Here's the permit that I just submitted. It shows as a status of pending. But if I go into it, this one I don't think will show me very much because we've just submitted it, nothing's happened. But it shows pending. When reviews are assigned, they'll show up here as well, and it'll show you who's doing those reviews. I wonder if this one's a little bit further along. So in this case, it'll show you who's reviewing your permit. You have an estimated date when the review should be completed, and you'll also get the contact information of whoever is supposed to be reviewing that permit, which these all say Arnold because he set up this permit himself, but in theory, this would say a planner, this will say someone from the electric department, et cetera. Are there any other questions, or I don't know, I mean, we're interested to hear from you all as developers and others in the community, how your impressions.
Well, that would be Rick.
I saw Jesse there. I'm not sure what happened to him.
I'm still here. It all looks great. It looks like once we can get used to it, it should be a significant improvement. I guess with the higher volume of permits and projects that we get going with the paper, I think things can get confusing sometimes. So I'm sure there will be some growing pains, but everything I see looks like a very good base to start with. We just recently did something similar with, I guess, kind of built a system for all of our permits and information and plans for the superintendents on site. And it took us a few months, but once we got through the growing pains, it really helped. So I'm happy to see this happening.
Jesse, this is Wayne. May I ask, since you do work in Knox County also, and maybe other counties, what are you experiencing in those in terms of online application? How does this compare?
To be honest, I am not nearly as involved in our subdivisions outside of the preserve, and definitely have not gone through the permitting process, except for I guess I have done Loudoun County and City of Loudoun, and those are both still very old school, I guess I'll say, paper-based. Knox County, from everything I've heard, this sounds very similar to the system that they use as far as us being able to have a portal and access the jobs that would be specific to our account. All that stuff sounds like it's going to be extremely helpful. So
Thank you. I would add that I'm pretty proud of the staff for accepting a permit and having it CO'd the same day. So Jesse, I don't think
Yeah.
These things family home and everything.
can match our
Put a
speed.
belt in a day.
Yeah.
Jennifer, this is Amy. And Arnold, that was a wonderful demonstration. I appreciate you walking through that. So just to reiterate, anytime during the process, say if you start something and you got interrupted, you just hit save and you can log back in at a later date and just pick up where you left off.
Yeah, there's a feature to save your application for a later date. I haven't used it, but I have seen that.
Yeah.
It's right on the portal page, I believe, of the application.
And you always have the opportunity to upload additional documentation throughout the process.
And then when they're ready to pay if they want to pay their fees online, we're going to be, that'll go to Amy. Is it maybe a question that goes through the Paymentus?
That's correct. We're still working on the integration, so I don't know if we try to demo that or not, if it would work. But
Oh, you don't need to do that. I was just,
yeah, in theory,
Yeah.
they would go there and it would open up the Paymentus page. They would be able to put in their credit card or e-check information.
okay.
And then it would come back here to the portal where it would show that it was paid, or a partial payment. You know, if it's a huge payment, they only want to pay $1,000 of the however much, and they can follow up with that as well.
And you'll get an email receipt. It's pretty much like paying for anything else online.
So basically all the information you might just want to mention when, the conversion of all the, basically the database that we have now, is there going to be like, how many years will that go back?
To 2014.
2014. So that'll automatically be populated in the software.
Yeah, it'll kind of be, it'll be available as kind of an archive function. So the city staff can kind of search for it and go to it, but it won't be in that kind of active area, so to speak, but it will be searchable and found within our workspace. So.
Well, it's wonderful to see all your hard work paying off, and appreciate all the hard work, and it's I think it's exciting. Looking forward to getting our folks being able to use it, and it looks pretty user friendly to me.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, I hope it is that way.
Yeah. So I guess in closing, we just want to say thanks again. We're expecting to go live at the end of April, and at that time, anyone can register for an account. So we hope that maybe you can help us get the word out or say some positive things, but we'll be doing a little bit more outreach similar to this, and then creating online guides as well. So we'd love to continue to have your feedback on that.
And the flyer's going to go out with the April utility bills.
That's right.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for that.
And one more question, I guess, mentioning that you might have some more, I guess, kind of tutorials on this. Is there a time that like our subcontractors and potentially the people in our office that do most of the permit applications could kind of get just something very similar to this?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody can request that. So by you doing that right now, we will make sure we reach out to you.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah, that would be helpful, because if when they're submitting application, it'll be helpful if they're associating their permit to the master project. That way, everything will be together, and there'll always be an active history of what's going on of the project. So it'll help you too, also, to know where you're at.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right, I appreciate it.
And that kind of brings up an interesting point, though, is we are planning on kind of a multifaceted outreach. We're going to have more similar demo sessions like this that are available. We're going to have FAQs on the website. We're hoping to have some how-to documents and or little short videos, how to create an account, how to submit a permit, that kind of thing. So the goal is to make it as user-friendly where people can self-service, but we're also going to have that human element, especially for the first time that people are going through the process. And some people we acknowledge might need a little bit more help, whereas other people might be tech savvy and be able to kind of whiz through it themselves. So we want to have the resources available for everybody. So. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Having a link to like a YouTube video of how to on the city webpage, I think would be really helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And you could all be stars.
Yeah.
Eric is on our flyer that's going out. So. It's the face of CityView.
Yeah.
The back of my head.
Yeah.
The back of CityView.
Might have got haircut.
Great job, guys. It's really
Well,
Thank you very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you guys for
Thank
taking
you.
the time. Okay.
Bye.
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 Good job. Excellent job.